yours. "Let us go to the theatre tonight," said Lord Henry. "There is sure to be something on, somewhere. I have promised to dine at White's, but it is only with an old friend, so I can send him a wire and say that I am ill, or that I am prevented from coming in consequence of a subsequent engagement. I think that would be rather a nice excuse. It would have all the surprise of candour." "It's such a bore putting on one's dress clothes," muttered Hallward. "And when one has them on, they're so horrid." "Yes," answered Lord Henry dreamily, "the costume of the 19th century is detestable. It is so sombre, so depressing. Sin is the only real color element left in modern life." Whoa, pause. First off, the line, "the costume of the 19th century is detestable, it is so somber and so depressing," implies that he understands the costumes of many centuries, and that he's been wearing them. There's a real Satan moment there. And then to throw in the idea that the only color element in Victorian life is sin, everything else is black and white. When you look at their black, the top hats and the suits and the very Victorian imagery, there is something to be said about the lack of color, but sin being the only real color. Is he saying that for Basil's benefit or for Dorian's benefit? I mean, look who's in the room and look what he's saying and why and how he's saying it. You really must not say things like that before Dorian, Harry. "Before which Dorian? The one who's pouring out the tea for us, or the one in the picture?" "Before either." I should like to come to the theatre with you, Lord Henry," said the lad. "Then you shall come, and you will come too, Basil, won't you?" "I can't, really. I would sooner not. I have a lot of work to do." "Well, then, you and I will go alone, Mr. Gray." "I should like that awfully." The painter bit his lip and walked over, cup in hand, to the picture. "I shall stay with the real Dorian," he said sadly. I think that's an interesting phrase, the real Dorian, referring to the picture. "Is it the real Dorian?" cried the original of the portrait, strolling across to him. "Am I really like that?" "Yes, you are just like that." "How wonderful, Basil." "At least you are like it in appearance, but it will never alter," sighed Hallward. "That is something." "What a fuss people make about fidelity!" exclaimed Lord Henry. "Why, even in love, it is purely a question for physiology. It has nothing to do with our own will. Young men want to be faithful and are not. Old men want to be faithless and cannot. That is all one can say." That's another aphorism. It's kind of a funny one, too. Young men want to be faithful and are not, and old men want to be faithless and cannot. I mean, aha. "Don't go to the theatre tonight, Dorian," said Hallward. "Stop and dine with me." "I can't, Basil." "Why?" "Because I've already promised Lord Henry Wotton to go with him." "He won't like you the better for keeping your promises. He always breaks his own. I beg you not to go." Dorian Gray laughed and shook his head. "I entreat you." The lad hesitated and looked over at Lord Henry, who was watching them from the tea table with an amused smile. This is an important moment. Dorian has to choose between Basil and Lord Henry, and all that allegorically represents. "I must go, Basil," he announced. "Very well," said Hallward, and he went over and laid down on his cup on the tray. "It is rather late, and as you have to dress, you had better lose no time. Goodbye. Harry, goodbye. Dorian, come and see me. Come tomorrow." "Certainly. You won't forget?" "No, of course not," cried Dorian. "And Harry?" "Yes, Basil. Remember what I asked you when we were in the garden this morning?" "I have forgotten." "I trust you." "I wish I could trust myself," said Lord Henry, laughing. "Come, Mr. Gray, my carriage is outside, and I can drop you at your own place. Goodbye, Basil. It has been a most interesting afternoon." As the door closed behind them, the painter flung himself down on the sofa, and a look of pain came into his face. There's a lot we can talk about here with the picture, with Dorian choosing to leave with Lord Henry after he's been influenced. But I'll save that for the beginning of next chapter. I'll upload these today. That'll be today's business, and then I'll bring chapter 3 at you tomorrow. Hope you're enjoying the book. I know I am. This is a really good chapter. There's lots of stuff to think about, so think about it. If you got questions, shoot me a message, drop something on the webpage, all of that kind of stuff. I hope you stay happy. I hope you stay healthy, and keep educating yourself. Just because you're not in school doesn't mean the learning stops. Doesn't mean the skills that you want to gather stop. Go find things that you're interested in and learn about them. Write and develop your writing ability. I'm here. A lot of your other teachers are here. We're not giving up on you just because school's closed for the year. We'll do what we can. And this is just one example. I got other things coming. So cheers, and I'll see you tomorrow.